Hello and welcome to the final match of our Swiss stage here in our Randomizer Double Tournament 2023. Today we have the 3-0 matchup. Both Bizarre Adventurers and Team Storytime have not lost a game so far and have both already qualified for the bracket stage. However, the prestige of being undefeated throughout the Swiss stage only goes to one of them. And to cast this match, I have Jamal with me. Jamal, are you excited?
Oh, absolutely. You've already set it up as both the 3-0 teams. Match is setting up to be somewhat of a clash of the titans going on here. And whoever wins this, I feel like has to be a favorite going into the bracket stage, getting that number 1 seed. And obviously getting kind of that confidence and that momentum boost going into the final stage of the tournament. So this is definitely one of the, most exciting races, probably one of like the climaxes for this stage of the tournament for sure. And so it's definitely one that I have been looking forward to and I'm sure is going to be very exciting to watch.
Honestly, Jamal, when I saw the lineup for this tournament, I was hoping this would be our Swiss finisher. I had the hunch we could be getting this, we are getting it, and for the first time, I feel like with how these teams have played, there's actually not a favorite in the matchup between these two. So just looking forward to what the seed is going to give us. And I hope you hit Bash really well because I don't want to see either of these people getting to use it.
Absolutely. If you know me, you know that I love terrible, atrocious seeds with convoluted logic. And I think getting to watch players as skilled as these ones work their way through a seed like that is one of the most entertaining races that we can have on a stream. And so I agree with you. I really want to see something late. I want to see something gross. I want to see our runners think and get to show off what it is they're really able to do and what it is that makes them as good as they are.
Indeed. And I have asked both of the teams separately whether commentary bias is appropriate. Both of them have told me we should be absolutely biased in favor of Storytime finally getting a loss. So here we go, Bizarre Adventurers taking the pre-game win because Muffin did not baguette jump in his warm-up. Here we go, into the seat, let's go.
Already throwing the race to the easiest trick in the game. Alas, here we are, our runners getting started off. We get our relic checks, and we have no relics in Grotto, Misty, or Horu. It's kind of an interesting setup there. No Grotto relic is interesting to see because obviously that area has a lot of early game progression very frequently. And Horu, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. And so, kind of a mixed bag from our initial setup here is our players are already off finding our first relic.
Yeah, let's say we have actually rolled to a 7 here, with Glades not having a relic either. So this is actually setting up for some really interesting kind of trade-off between going for progression plays versus relic plays here. As you've mentioned, Grotto is super dense. We love clearing Grotto in, for example, Forest Trees, where we have to go there anyways. But now you won't get relic progress if you are digging inside grottos, so that might influence routing decisions for our runners here. On the other hand, no horror relic means we won't get to see any amazing R1 climbs maybe or something like that, but it does not actually reduce the amount of shards that our runners are going to need, since we still actually need to go to the final escape. So don't think that will slow down, speed up the seed too much here.
For sure. Now, the real question that's always going through our mind when we watch the beginning of one of these is what this first bit of progression is going to be. We've already found one keystone hidden away underneath sign there, so it seems likely that that we're going to continue to get more keystones. There's that sunstone shard you mentioned earlier for our first of 3. But yet there it is, 2 keystones. Our runners, despite getting a bit forced down to this path to start, are probably going to be looking for some form of other way to split up afterwards. That's something like a wall interaction to get into Blackroot, maybe some way to kind of make progression into other sides of the right side of the map, just so they're not retracing each other's steps.
And look at that nice swim, the EXP underwater being enough for a level up to and to actually keep it. And now that we have this wall jump, we can see the first splits if our runners want to do so. And indeed, on the bottom right, the Dew is going to grab some slime XP to get his level up so he can enter Blackroot Barrows as Muffin on the top right finishes out Glades.
Interesting to note, actually, I noticed that Muffin was the one of our four runners who actually grabbed the XP from the Rhino at the beginning of the map, as well. And so I think it's kind of a just fun fact the way that the routing ended up, the way the timing ended up working out for kind of which one of them found that wall jump first, ends up making it so that it's still worthwhile for to do a little bit of that farming, get that level up. And then make his way into Blackroot, as I believe we also see Lifdoff in the top left making a similar play right behind him. So as of this point, not much to separate our teams. We haven't really had much of an opportunity for anything particularly spicy to come up yet, though.
Well, look, speaking about spicy and maybe a bit of sunken cost fallacy, in the bottom left, Sirius gets mini iceless after about a minute of attempts. Honestly, what's 20 seconds? What's 60 seconds? Still very much even. Yep, definitely. But the strike points make it all up, right? Oh my
For
god!
sure, but that dash find is going to be a big one, and that is going to be dash. Is going to let Sirius essentially just turn around here, do some more cleanup much more quickly. Muffin found that dash pickup as well right before he dropped down into the wall jump area. And so now that that pickup is known, this early, you see both of the other runners who are in Blackroot bailing almost immediately, getting that call out that they know where that skill is, and that's going to be something that's worth their time to go and get.
Yeah, you you kind of don't really have a choice when you get told dash exists, rather than just get it. Seeing how it just reduces traversal time everywhere so much, and on top of that, you can also do all those hyper speed shenanigans in the early game, and later on it will unlock basically everything everywhere anytime. So not really surprised that our runners are going back immediately to get it, but we can still do some splitting up here if we want to. We found a bunch of keystones, that means both finishing Blackroot and Spirit Caverns are options here, and Sirius going immediately into the latter.
Absolutely, and it seems likely at this point to me that that progression is going to be through Spirit Caverns. We see even more keystones Sirius is finding while he's doing there. He's currently the one making those new checks, but given the amount of those that we've found so far, it seems a Valley Teleporter too. That's an interesting one that we can't make too much use out of right now. Uh, Wind restored for good measure as well. Maybe I guess we're not gonna get enough keystones to go through that door after all. Maybe there'll be more keystones buried in Blackroot, and we'll have to walk back through.
Oh, was kind of interesting with Sirius taking DSA along and having that far away save, then deciding after three keystones, okay, we're good, and then it's Valley Teleporter and Wind Restored. Yeah, I guess that's just how Rando be sometimes, but Valley Teleporter and Wind Restored. Now that's a combination that might just mean something a bit later here.
We might get the open world special to not too long.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
oh, yeah,
right
go
now,
ahead.
our runners are not able to really make too much use of that Valley Teleporter quite yet. That kill plane and kind of getting up there is something that might be able to technically skip, but they don't have a mechanism at this point to actually break the rocks to kind of get rid of Kuro for good on
What do you
left
mean?
side.
Charge dish is right there.
I guess, yeah, just more levels is all we need. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, jokes aside, you're absolutely right. We cannot really get through those rocks so far, which means we're gonna need to be digging a little more. On the bottom right, you did do a key tube up to 4, so he will be the first one to actually go into the Grove and Sea Flame Tree area, while on the left, Sirius set up for a Frankie walk. Getting the level up, door is open, so we're seeing a lot of new areas simultaneously on all sides here, with Sirius managing to do his Frankie walk, even keeps the Frankie alive to get the underwater check opened up here. Not sure what his health amount is at. He probably keeps track of that better than I do, so I'm just gonna say the fact that he's not swimming right now means it's too little to check that. But yeah, we have grotto access on the bottom left, we have two people in Blackroot, and we have the Dew coming up on a nice flame tree check.
Meanwhile, Muffin here in the top right has both found the Blackroot relic on the tree itself and also has just found Glide on Raziel here as well, which is making that Valley Teleporter progression more and more likely at this point. We've already found Wind. We've got the teleporter itself, and now we have Glide. If we can just find a way to get rid of that pesky bird, we might be in for quite a quick left side for our runners.
Absolutely, and we are getting a nice blue breakage here. Well, that's another way to break the rocks, which I'm sure our runners will absolutely love to do. A signful sea flame redirect sounds like a good tournament time here. Otherwise, if we find something like clean water, we also get one additional check by gliding down the spike path backwards and checking the underwater pickup. So that's always something to keep in mind with the Valley Teleporter too. But I think for now we're gonna be doing some more logic tracking. Actually, are we? With Sea Flame, that's the entire right side of the map
Yeah,
open. I'm not sure you can call that tracking anymore. And indeed, Muffin is saying, I am not taking the long way around here.
Yep, doing this the same Frankie walk that we saw Sirius doing earlier to get through this energy door. Get it presumably at that point. I feel like if you're just searching, I don't know if you bother going into Grotto at all, given that there's no relic. There's plenty of other stuff you can do, kind of in like maybe that swamp or grove area if you want to go that route. But either way, going this route is going to be significantly faster than going all the way the long way around, just barely getting enough EXP, setting up his hyperspeed, and is going to be able to get through Death Gauntlet without any significant issue.
Yeah, and also very nice to do that hyperspeed to both preserve all the health and get the Frankie alive to Storm. On the bottom time, we got a bit of story time from both teams actually here, with Sirius and the Dew simultaneously showing us zero ability point as Ace in front of the cutscene trigger and then watching it at the same time. Honestly, we might need to switch some people around for this team setup, but don't think we can do that just now. But yeah, that means we're gonna have skill parity very soon and also area parity with each team having one person already in Grotto.
Yeah, and at this point, it just becomes a question of when do you make that dive? I know Sirius is the one on Team Bizarre Adventures who has done that trick to open that door. I don't know that Liftoff's XP is well set up to do that easily in the near future. And so I think it'll be the question at this point of when do they make that play into Grotto? Like Muffin is doing now, because Muffin is opting to go down, check all of these very dense pickups. Up to this point, I don't think I've spotted anything particularly noteworthy coming out of it, but there's just so many pickups on this screen right now. This is the reason that we're down here.
Indeed, there was one single Gumon seal shard on the water. We're gonna need that later since Forlorn does have a relic, and also since we're gonna have a grenade locked and a storm block relic in the seat because I just decided so. So we're gonna need to go do Forlorn escape anyways at some point here. But for now, yeah, as you said, it is very dense this area, so we're going to be doing some checking around here. Wonder if Muffin is gonna do a drop or a rock slide here. The setup is there, but for now it's just, oh, nice growth teleporter there that will save a number of keystones. Liftoff in the top left, actually finding a relic here in the entry area too, so we're getting checks done, and Muffin setting up on the top right. taking an extra save, so I would assume, yeah, it was an attempted slide, but we have the SA open, so we can actually just save drop and finish it out with that.
You know, this is an interesting seed up to this point. We're getting a lot of relics and a good number of shards, honestly. But despite this dash find, you know, there's really only so much stuff. Like, this doesn't feel like a complete or an end game skill set by any means. And so I feel like at this point, our runners are still going to be searching. They're going to be looking for something else. Because while dash is powerful, the game wasn't necessarily designed with it in mind. So there's not a whole lot that it unlocks uniquely. So we're still missing something. And that question becomes, where is it? And how buried is it going to be?
Well, I'm just not gonna jinx anything. I'm just gonna think about jinxing everything. But now, on the bottom left, one thing with that dash find that you might have seen Sirius do is Sirius was very careful to grab a bunch of that plant XP just to accelerate that ability cell progression. Does not get the hop slide there, and also noticed he was actually overground, so not attempting to do a save drop reload. Gets it on the second try, and now gets his Grotto Vault pickups down there, which means Water Vein Shard picked up for Team Bizarre Adventurers too.
Yeah, I believe that puts us on shard parity for all of the teams, and at this point, more or less absolute parity on just about
Ah,
everything. A lot of our, this is
wanna
a
look at
very
that
even
top
race up.
left again, Jamer?
Ooh, wait a minute, I spoke too soon. Now, they can't use that teleporter yet. We do need to find one more shard. I believe there's only one in play that we've found so far. But that is a very interesting find. If nothing else, that will make our end game much easier because we don't need to walk to Horu at this point. We can just teleport there at our convenience.
Um, Yeah, we also got a glide find at above Sea Flame Tree. That one pickup no one ever wants to check, but I guess in doubles it's actually pretty good since we wanna split up anyways. Not that important, but it does give us access to up dashes here with climb plus air dash. So always nice for a bit of momentum to have. Other than that, we are still in digging mode because even with all those shards, those broken teleporters, the climb find, none of that says charge jump, double jump, bash, of course, but bash isn't in the seed. So, yeah, and as I say that, top left, liftoff finds double jump, so now we
Oh,
might be getting some
we have double jump and a full
acceleration.
water vein on Sirius now as well, actually. That's getting very close to logical Ginso access now. Our runners could theoretically just choose to do that. Which, at this point, honestly, there's a relic there. That's not even a bad play. Like, we need to find our relic. This is more or less the vanilla skill set that you have going into Ginso once you get that double jump pickup. I think, this is Ginso's looking pretty juicy to me right now.
Yep, and I would not be surprised if our runners would agree with you there with Sirius being in the area, just packing up. I would assume we're gonna see first the pickup of the teleporter, and then probably a pickup of double jump itself before Sirius then comes back and gets the Ginso
I mean,
tree
Sirius
and
doesn't want to do the C dash ramps in the Ginso that
Uh, no, no, Jaima. I don't think Sirius wants to spend all his ability points to barely get C dash instead of just grabbing the double jump that's right on the way.
I can dream. I can dream. Other finds of note at this point, we have also on the right side now seen a Sorrow teleporter on Dedew's screen as well. A lot of stuff setting up for a pretty speedy late game once we eventually get the ability to use these things. We've got two left side teleporters, we've got Glide, but if we can just get out from the Sorrow teleporter in the first place, at this point, that's looking to blow things wide open. This seed, the more we play, the more we see this is looking to be faster and faster.
Honestly, at this point, I only want these runners to get two more things, that's Stomp and that's Clean Water. And I think that is everything they need.
What else do you really need to finish a seed? Let's be honest. Otherwise, other than Sirius making plays into Ginso, I think at this point we're seeing a lot of checks made by one player or one team that the other team
Pelops,
has already made.
ah, serious telehops are just so
Oh,
pretty.
well,
And there's a bash, so Ginso Tree is now officially a banned area. Bizarre Adventure sadly lost this race. GG for Team Star. No, that is obviously huge. Bash being in the Ginso Tree, right where it belongs, just a little bit too far down. Beautiful C-Dash redirect by Sirius too means they kinda have everything they could ever wish for with Dash and Bash, little three-letter suffix there, Ash. Yeah, that's pretty much the best skill. It's in the game right there. So, shards, right? And
hmm
the only thing about that is, for one, Sirius is not going to be having sense anytime soon because this was a dash seed and he never got to spend anything on purple.
Yeah, and this is kind of an interesting situation at this point because while Bizarre Adventures has those shards necessary to get into Ginso, I believe. Oh, actually, as I was speaking, I believe that is now Dedew finding the third shard for Team Storytime as well. So I don't think either of them have the full water vein yet, but I believe they have that knowledge as to where all of the shards are. So at this point, it'll be a question of how long do they wait to go in and make that play because while they don't know it yet, Bash is absolutely one of those skills that just puts you on a timer as soon as your opponents find it. It's just going to make everything much quicker and much easier for them to check for the rest of the race.
Indeed, and especially since we do have C dash access, that means we have C dash bash access, and 4 energy is a really good amount to do C dash bashes with. So at this point, as you said, there's a bit of a timer going on. The Dew has his full water vein, so all he needs to do is actually go to Ginzo, but obviously you might want to finish checking an area first, right? And those extra checks can be a minute here, a minute there, can just add up if that's what's going to happen. On the bottom left, Sirius actually going further up the Ginso tree. Beautiful hyperspeed there on the keystone door, getting the teleporter for later. And yes, now that we can do a very, very easy kill plane skip, we are just going to Valley, and I'm not even sure if we're gonna see a kill plane skip, or we don't have a Sunstone, so we are gonna need a shot anyways, right?
Yeah, I mean, we see him setting up the bash glide. He is skipping it. Whether or not he just flies up to the top or if he just goes around and does Stompless anyways remains to be seen. But this is going to be his left side access. At this point, it's a pretty relatively straightforward left side, I feel like, for him. We've got Glide for Sorrow, we've got Bash and C Dash, like you mentioned, for literally everything else. And also in Ginso, he found his third Gumon Seal Shard, and so we have access there as well. So, unless we end up with, gross relic lock somewhere by Stomp or Grenade, this is looking, almost like the seed over at this point.
I mean, Growth Relic would be a bit harder, seeing how Muffin already found Growth Relic for Team Storytime, so that's not going to be an issue either. Just Forlorn and Sorrow Relics are unknown, I think. We have the Ginso Relic on, so it's really just
But yeah, we
we
found
are
Valley
racing
already. Yeah.
here. And we're racing here, and we need that one Sunstone shard to get the teleporter running. And Muffin, seeing how he's currently entering the Ginso tree, is gonna get his skills very, very soon too.
Absolutely. It looks like at this point, then a lot of what our teams are doing is just a combination of cleanup, catching up with what their teammate has already set up, or already found rather, and then kind of getting those last couple relics and getting their way to left side. It seems like that is the place to be. That's where everyone's heading towards right now. And Muffin, as you said, not far off from getting his bash, as I expect now that Dedew is looking to make the Valley entrance play. I suspect he's going to back out of here relatively quickly once he gets that call out and go head to Ginso like we see him doing now.
Yeah, I mean, he needed the relic first, right? So grabbing the
Absolutely.
relic while Muffin is starting the Ginso checks, getting a call out right as the relic happens that yes, we do need that bash in here. That is actually pretty good splitting, I would say. Good use of time. I mean, it could have also just happened that Ginso had nothing at all, and we would have actually needed to, I don't know, get dash, not the yeah, get dash plant. That sounds good. We have glide
Yeah,
seed
yeah,
then.
yeah. No one's checked Dash
Right,
Plant.
right.
Yeah.
No one checked that. That was an absolutely possible play. But we can always talk about what ifs as much as we want to. Right now, the reality is Sirius is digging through sorrow, done with a good amount already, and we are really not needing a lot of relics anymore.
Yeah, with that said, Muffin has now backed out of Ginsu immediately after finding that relic, and before he found that Gumon Seal shard that Team Bizarre Adventures did find higher up in Ginso. I don't know if we've spotted any extras in terms of Gumon Seal shards, but Forlorn Access is going to be required still, and if that ends up being the case, this could be a decision that comes back to bite them if they end up lacking that access later on in the race.
Yeah, always a big decision to make, right? But on the other hand, um, knowing Muffin, you know how Muffin always says, if you can push left side, you just do that? Well, Muffin just got bashed, so I think his next goal is pretty clear looking here at this Valley Teleporter.
I wonder what he could possibly be doing right now. We'll see if Dedew looks like Dedew is opting to go higher. So I expect they will not be far behind in that regard. They will be finding that Gumon seal in short order, and at that point, I think it really just becomes the Horu shard, and those couple outstanding relics are really the open questions of this seed still.
Yes, indeed, as you said, that you did find Gumon Seal Shard 3, so Muffin has the option to backtrack here. That backtrack is gonna cost quite some time, however, it's gonna cost like at least a minute, so I guess the hope here is to find one more Gumon Seal Shard on the way. On the bottom left, Sirius finding the Sorrow Relic, not grenade locked either, so our locked relic potential is going extremely low here. We basically just have a storm blocked fallen relic as our horrible seed
We can
throw.
dream.
But yeah, yeah, let's just dream, right?
I can't
We
even I
can.
can't even hope for Stomp on Forlorn Escape itself though, because they're gonna be checking that regardless for the relic. So we have to find a worse place to put it.
Yeah, I have one. It's called Mapstone 9.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Meanwhile, we see both of Team Storytime making the play into left side. Both players setting up for fast stompless and doing it. Looks like Muffin, like you surmised earlier, is going to be digging around, hoping to find that Gumon Seal shard elsewhere. Not yet deciding to turn around and do that Ginso backtrack. I like this play. Play the objective. Make what progress you know you need to make before you turn around, and spend time revisiting areas that you've already cleared out and aren't going to get anything for. I want to bring our attention though up to the top left here. We've got Liftoff doing this frog lure as he accelerates the frog through the floor directly into a untimely demise. He's going to be trying to use this frog to break the floor to get into Forlorn at this point. And this one goes much more smoothly. And so, assuming that everything else goes well from this point, this is going to be our first play for Forlorn Access to get that
What does
that relic.
I would assume that you now doing the exact same because while Muffin does not have the shard that you has, so Team Storytime can split up here and get information on both relics at the same time. Similarly, Sirius is also still doing a little bit of splitting up here, doing some collecting on the way, might also just be digging around for that necessary shard, while liftoff is already progressing to Fallout because, well, Fallout might be pretty linear, but you can still, like, you can skip the entire top left loop, you can skip throwing around some spider projectiles, and so on if you already know the relic is not there. So you have some extra time while your teammate is doing other things. And so did you on the bottom right, next attempt on the frog. And this one looked absolutely beautiful. Just needs to lure a shot over, and that means one more person on the way to fall on.
Absolutely, and at this point, Muffin has now found the Forlorn teleporter as well as the Sorrow relic, actually. He no longer needs to find that extra Gumon Seal shard. That too is enough. He can make his way straight there now. He knows that's the only relic he's missing. That's the only relic both teams are missing, actually, and we have players from both teams now turning around and getting into Forlorn at just about the same time. This is turning into, well, not turning into, this is remaining an incredibly close race.
Yeah, incredible. Honestly, I love the decision that Muffin did there, saying, I am not going to reload back into the Ginso tree. There is not that much progression left, and I'm going to a very dense area next. Maybe something will just be there too, and he absolutely gets rewarded for it with that Fallout teleporter find, which is, yeah, straight ticket into Fallout, right? So,
Yep.
just gotta find that relic then, and then there's a decision to be made because, sure, we can finish the. Oh no, we have Bash. There's no decision to be made. This is free.
The question that I'm wondering at this point, we've got at least on Sirius's screen not too much HP and no clean water. I don't know how many ability points he's found or what his ability tree looks like at this point. But I think at this point, health starts to become a concern. You're getting near the end of the seed. You've got dirty water you need to swim through in that escape. Something's got to give.
I think I'm seeing a region though, so we are actually on 630 water
Ah.
HP here, which should be enough. And yeah, and now we are on 7, and 7 is most definitely.
Yup, that definitely helps. As we
Hmm.
have players clearing Forlorn from opposite ends makes it interesting from our perspective. I believe we've started actually to get them, each team overlapping with checks the others have made at this point, which I don't know if it firmly locks out based on what we've seen or not, or if there is any potential, but it's making me think that that relic might be behind the key door, and if it is, 2 out of 3 chance it's stomp locked. You know what I'm rooting for.
Yeah, and if you look at the trackers, this ad break was sponsored by Mood Studios, making your final Swiss match more exciting by not telling us where the relic was.
But Muffin does have it, you're right. I suppose there is one way to find out, but given that he does not also have Stomp on his tracker, that unfortunately means that it is not going to be particularly gross. Looks like actually Dedew just found it on that keystone on the floating platform right below the teleporter. So that is now 8 out of 8 relics found for Team Storytime. Dedew just needs to go and clean up that one in Sorrow that Muffin got before him, as we see Bizarre Adventures hot on their heels, both of them in Forlorn, both of them with, or their team with the knowledge of 7 out of 8 relics at this point. Looks like Liftoff has to do a little bit of cleanup still, and it looks like, honestly, that cleanup might be the difference between these two teams right now.
Honestly, you know, if you look at the trackers, one thing is suspiciously grayed out, called the Sunstone. So we have all 8 relics, but for once, we do not have horror access. All that's missing is a single shard. But seeing how things were spread out so far, I have no clue where you should be digging for this.
Yeah, I don't know, especially with there being four more Sunstone shards somewhere on the map. I feel like at this point, I don't know if there's anywhere that logic is telling me that, yeah, this is the place where it makes sense to go, right? I think at this point, you just say, where do we have a couple pickups that we had to strand? Where do we have, just a lump of stuff that we didn't need to check? And let's go back there and take a look and see if that shard is there.
Yeah, and Upper Ginso, where Muffin is currently heading towards, would be one of those places, with the escape being pretty dense. We have the logical access to it, and it also sets us into it brings us into Inner Swarm, which also has a few more checks that are actually in logic here with our current skill set by utilizing just that path through the Ginso escape. So looking forward to see whether there's anything there. Liftoff doing a nice double bash chain on the explodey pod to check whether, yeah, not to check, to grab his relic. We already had that. And Liftoff still gotta do one more cleanup check here, but otherwise, this will honestly just come down to whichever team finds the Sunstone Shard first, or if one team finds a Sunstone Shard in a horrible 5 minute check location and the other one finds a faster one in the meantime. Those are the two options we have here.
It really is coming down to that one play. Liftoff, I believe, making checks that we've seen from Team Storytime already. I don't believe that last shard is up there. We've seen people dive into Misty. We've seen Sirius now cleaning up a lot in Grotto. At this point, our runners are just back in digging mode. They have everything they need except that one pickup somewhere, and it's exactly like you said, who finds it first, or how gross does it end up being? There's still obviously a lot of places that this could potentially be. The shards, especially if you're going to be late in logic shards like these ones, can be pretty much anywhere that seed gen is mean enough to put them. As so, Dedew doing charge dashes through Glazer gets the Ginso teleporter for his troubles as Muffin is already in Upper Ginso, right next to the teleporter as well. Not quite the one we were finding or we were hoping for. That is the wrong dungeon to get access to. We already had that one.
Yeah.
So, not what we were hoping for.
Sirius also at 5 out of 3 water rain shards at this point, so we found a lot of shards in this match, but sadly not a lot of them were red. We even have 3 red pickups so far. We did find Warmth
We did,
Returned
yes.
earlier. However, that does not give teleporter progression, which could be an interesting change to make.
Could you
Smiley
imagine?
face
That would
with
be
a funny
incredible.
flag. But for now, we actually need a real Sunstone Shard here. No other option to finish out the seed that is also legal. Sure, our runners could now go through the left side of this wall here, but I feel like our tournament organizer might not look too nicely at that. So it is digging time, indeed, and we don't have that many options.
Yeah, I think that's reflected in the fact that right now, of anywhere our teams could choose to go, we have everyone in the same places on the map. We've got two people setting up to do Ginso Escape. We've got two people in Horror Fields right now. Like, this is just the place to be. Our teams at this point are so even, have done so many of the same things that they just end up doing the exact same logic as the other ones, looking for the same sets of pickups. If this isn't just an indication of just how evenly matched these teams are and how exciting the future of this tournament is looking as both of these teams progressing forward is going to be, I don't know what is.
Yeah, and I mean, we are in a state where Sirius actually skipped the first pickup in the Ginzo escape. He rocket jumped right past it. We saw on Muffin's side that it's just a half cell, so it won't come back to bite him. But those are the kind of things you don't really want to do. However, what you do want is no, you don't. That's just a grenade. Sirius does have sense, is doing sense checks here. However, you can only get so much out of it. Yeah, sure, it was a sense it, but Bash 8 is now an option. Maybe we find a grenade locked Sunstone shard. Who knows?
Ooh.
But swimming is an option, I assume. Getting was is that a hyperspeed bind?
I
Well,
think,
whatever.
yeah.
We're still getting the drop into the poison water with just enough health. So now we can take some intentional deaths to refill with our 1 quadrillion energy that we have and continue our dirty water swims, which coincidentally is the exact same thing CovertMuffin is doing on the top right too. As you said, we're 37 minutes in with all relics, and still we have people in the same areas from both teams digging around for a shard. So yeah, now Sirius can go over here and look at Ori's color and decide what to do with that, and the decision is, nope, I'm leaving. But where to?
Dash plant. That's what Dedew is thinking at this point. That's, that would be a great place to find that shard, the one pickup that everyone forgets. At this point, honestly, without Grenade, there's not much else. I was thinking about the lower black root play, but that is unfortunately not the player who found Grenade. At this point, I wonder if Sirius is making kind of this same calculation, this same thought process. Regardless, to do doing that reverse Frankie walk to break open this floor is going to make as many checks as he can down in lower Blackroot without Grenade. Uh, Digging for that last shard. At this point, it's it's just hope that you can find it before your opponent.
Well, and speaking of which, one person just found it with a great sensing there. Probably since it's early at the mapstone, I would assume, because he sure took a beeline to it. Swamp entry, the thing you just skipped by doing the Ginso escape, had the remaining Sunstone shard in it. So Sirius now at 2 shards just has to find his teleporter. Luckily this is doubled, so yeah, we know where it is, and with that, Sirius into the final escape, into Horu at least. We still got a door warp to go, as liftoff is also picking up the shard just a few seconds after Sirius is picking up the TP, and with this, barring any major hiccups in the final escape, that is a gigantic, gigantic lead.
Absolutely, both of Team Bizarre Adventures going to get that horror access, going to be starting the escape at almost the same time. Whereas, unless there's another Sunstone Shard in the places where Team Storytime is searching right now, uh, we know that the one that that Team Bizarre Adventures has found is not anywhere near where our others are, and so at this point, it's definitely looking like Bizarre Adventures Race to Lose.
I mean, indeed it is, because Sirius is already past the first rooms of the final escape, and Liftoff got an Angry Bird swooping down at the same time. So on the left, just seeing how our experienced runners can do an 8 health final escape with Bash and Dash. I would assume it will look like about 2 more fish bashes, 1 rocket jump, and indeed, GG Sirius finishing at whatever that time is. I'm not gonna be doing math on stream, 40, 47 plus holding right. And lift off now, also so far damageless into the poison swim, now grabbing the fish out of the water, getting through with even 1 damage less than Sirius, good job on that, and rocket jumping off the fish through as well. GG, Bizarre Adventurers going 4-0 as seed number 1 into our bracket stage.
GG's indeed. While that was happening, Team Storytime did find a different Sunstone Shard on the grenade tree, and so hot on their heels, we have both players making their plays into Horu, having that teleporter, and really, there's a lot of red on the screen right now. This turned out to be an extremely close race the entire way through. At this point, it's looking like our teams are going to be finishing no more than a couple minutes apart from each other.
Yeah, and honestly, with the progression of this seed and the fact that they actually had different paths into both dungeons now, with the Fallout teleporter being found earlier and also the different Sunstone shards, this is incredibly close. Like, holding rights happening still at the same time, even if just barely, as Muffin has finished his final escape at 4150 something, and did you also already in the final escape as well, taking a quick lava dip, but that won't change anything anymore. So yeah, let's just watch at the bottom right as the Dedew now also finishes the Dash Bash final escape here before we get the official callouts for our timers.
I anticipate with this much health left in this skill set, this is not going to be a challenging escape by any means for Dedew. We've seen the same fish strat from everyone at this point, and oh, that was close. I thought that fish was in the fire for a second, but he got it out, got the rocket jump off, and is finished with his escape as well. That is all four runners uh, finished with the seed. Less than 45 minutes. This was certainly a jet seed.
This was, yeah, you did not do your job very well, Jamal. You were supposed to put Bash away.
I
I'm
put all
going
of
to
my
say
energy into my seed yesterday. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say putting Bash two screens downwards doesn't quite fit the description of that job, but I'll let it slide for once. We still got an amazing match here in our 3-0 phaser, and just from what we just got from our stats team as well as our referee who rolled the seat, you know how no one had the health
For anything, yeah.
for the Death Gauntlet swim at the start. Jewel would have sped up the seed by about 4 minutes because the next Sunstone shard was right there.
You gotta love underwater shards for sure. Another one also grenade locked as well. So most of our runners not finding grenade doesn't seem like that was one that was ever likely to be found.
Well, that sure was a quickly paced race here. The relics honestly were incredible. Like when you talk jet seeds, right? You talk power skills early, but now combine that with this relic distribution
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, World Tour
it's
7 and it didn't slow down. So
yeah, World Tour 7 was the start and it just got faster from there. And that concludes the bracket stage too. We know all our we have all not the bracket stage. I'm a bit too fast, aren't I? The seed was so fast I wanted to finish the entire tournament with it. That concludes our Swiss stage too. We have all our matches played out. That means bracket seeding gonna happen very, very soon. I do not have an overview over the Buchholz scores for our 3-1 team, so I can't just make the bracket off of my head. But it looks like Team Bizarre Adventurers actually did just jump on deck for an interview. So let's just drag those two in here and say, GG, Bizarre Adventurers 4-0. How are you feeling?
Thank you, Tim.
Um,
A little panicked, I guess, after that seed.
yeah, that was so fast, so much happening, and like I'm just coming down from the adrenaline, I guess.
yeah, when you're playing a seed like this that is just so fast, so jet seed the entire way, how do you feel kind of in comparison to your competition here? Do you feel like you were playing ahead or behind? I guess, do you feel confident in just, your ability to just at that point out execute? What's going through your mind?
To me, finding Dash is an instant confidence drop against Muffin, because Muffin likes to practice seeds that 4-start with Dash and play tons of seeds that start you with Dash, and very few people do that, and I don't do that, so Muffin probably has the edge on any Dash seed.
Yeah, similar for me. I was like, of course, having dash is nice. Dash is fun, but I'm the only player in the group of 4 without like any speedrun experience. So I was definitely a bit, um, a bit. Well, I was questioning whether my execution would keep up with the other team.
Well, it turned out the execution throughout most of the seed was just like you were neck on neck, trading back and forth throughout the entire thing. Uh, Even at like 38 minutes, you were checking the same areas, leading us to the next question. So, when you're in a seat like this, you have a jet skill set, you have jet relics, and at like 35 minutes or so, you're done, but you need that one sunstone shard. What's kind of your way of mapping out where to check for that?
We started brainstorming once it became clear that we really didn't need anything else. We started brainstorming dense areas we hadn't checked. We came up with the left side of Sorrow with the top part of Ginso and Inner Swamp. Since Sirius had the Ginso TP, he took Upper Ginso and Inner Swamp, and I took the left side of Sorrow because I had to go there anyway to pick up the relic he had found earlier. So that worked out quite nicely. And then he found a sense trigger that clued him into the missing Sunstone Shard at Triforce. Initially we thought the sense trigger was on Swamp Drain, which was why I checked that. But then it turned out to be on Triforce, and it turned out to be exactly what we needed.
Yeah, and I was actually about to ask about that exactly because I was not quite looking. So you did have the sense trigger from the map pedestal there, right? And then that was why you beelined so incredibly fast after checking out the rest of Inner Swamp.
Yeah, I went left after opening the swamp key door. There was nothing to collect there. It was just to gather the sense triggers.
So is this continuing to strengthen your faith in Sense, Sirius?
There's nothing more to strengthen.
Fellow sense enjoyer, you love to see it. Meanwhile, we also now on deck have got Team Storytime awaiting interviews as well, so we can go ahead and pull them in. GG's to Team Storytime. This was an incredibly close race the entire time. But what are you guys thinking right now that it's all done?
You know, I'll speak first, and then Dedew always can like speak for themselves. Like before the race, we were talking about, and the way that we felt overall is that this race is just practice. It doesn't actually really matter because we think this has the highest probability of being our matchup for the grand finals if we make it that far. So like, because we're first and second seed, it just means that we get this practice race, we make it through semis, and then we get to potentially face off again in grands. So really, in all honesty, we just went into this as if we were doing a practice race, and we focused on things that we wanted to work on around like communication and yeah. But as for my individual performance, I felt a lot better. This was the best seed that execution wise that I've done in like a tournament setting. All of my other matches I've lost at least like 3 to 5 minutes in execution alone, let alone routing decisions. But yeah, no, I'm feeling great. That was a great match.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, same. Like I feel like out of all the matches, this match I did the best, like execution-wise.
Nice.
And in the end, was just we were like kind of expecting that like we would find like all the relics pretty quickly. And most seeds we've been playing, it was just like looking for the last few shards that you need to like complete the game or to get to the last dungeon for some relic.
Yeah, I had all the relics at 29 minutes. So like yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we were kind of expecting this kind of seed, so I'm not really surprised by the results, and yeah, really happy with the performance overall. Just wish we would have found the last Sanson shard like a couple minutes earlier.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, definitely watch it back. You were so trading back and forth through the entirety of the part, and then it really came down to that last Sunstone shard. So, was exactly what you felt like, did you? Um, kind of going on that Sunstone shard too. I'm going to ask this one question. Well, it's kind of two. First of all, when you're in this situation where there's just one shard left, while there's also some collecting, like recollecting from the teammate who hasn't found the relics first to be done. If you're willing to talk about this, what's your thoughts on splitting that up and doing the recollecting while also digging for the shard? And then I guess my one word question that I always like to ask in these situations: sense question mark.
Yeah, so I can speak on that in like many different dimensions. Like I could literally like Zem, you know me, I could talk about this for hours about like routing
Well,
strategy and
I'm
like
giving you 1 minute.
okay. So basically my overall thoughts is that you in race settings for the randomizer and like something that's really helped me succeed in like performing and like the meta that I developed like in back in like 2017 2018 is like getting an advantage on the constraint, right? You can't start the final escape until you get all the relics, so that is really the focal point. Like the moment that we got bash, I was like push left side, push the left side, and Diddy was like, should I look for shards? I was like, no, get into forlorn. You have the finished Gumon seal. Get in there, find the relic, and then after that, then we go for density. That's the short and sweet answer. But there is some other stuff around, like especially tracking down the Sunstone. Right, Sunstone shard was in Glades, and then we also had Horu teleporter, I believe, in Lower Grotto, really early in Logic. So honestly, the Sunstone shards could have been anywhere, but there's a higher probability that they're going to be on the right side of the map in that case. So that's
Yeah, and speaking of which, just to tease you both a little, both of you who Frankie walked, and both of you who just didn't have the energy to check the water pool after breaking it open, could have sped up the seat a little. It was hiding
was
right
there a
there.
Sunstone shard there? Oh no.
I was
Wow.
actually
That's
I was
incredible.
actually on top of that pickup when Sirius called out the Sunstone shard. I could have just like dived down for 2 seconds.
Yeah, sometimes seats just are like this, aren't they? Alright, I have one more question for you. So, we just got information on what the seedings are. So, seed 1 versus seed 4 means you're gonna be playing against Illogical Zone, and Muffin, you're gonna be playing against Coos Bird Bath. So that's Clean and Hell on Coos Bird Bath side, and Baron and Bob on Illogical Zone side. Any thoughts on these matchups? You kinda already alluded to expecting a rematch soon.
Yeah, go on, Dedew.
Yeah, I think these seedings like make a lot of sense, like based on like what I would expect from each team, like how they would perform in this tournament. But yeah, let's just see how it goes against like Clean's team and against Hal. I think at the beginning of the tournament, they were not playing at their best, but in the last
Agreed.
couple matches, it's been a lot better. So definitely not like an opponent to take lightly. So still gonna be a close match, but I think we can win this one.
Yeah, I think we're overall like from just like a standpoint. If I was like a spectator from the outside in, I think I would favor Team Storytime to win the semis and move on to the finals. But Clean and Hal are amazing speedrunners, and they're amazing randomizer runners, especially. So I'm really looking forward to the match, and I hope it's as close as this one. But maybe with a different result, with us taking the win instead of a loss, like we saw today. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to facing them, and best of luck. I am sorry you have to face us.
And look, after they just tracked you, and now Hell doesn't even get to fight back. Yeah, same question to you, Sirius and Liftoff.
Yeah, I think playing Baron and Bob is going to be a very interesting match. Baron is just like super knowledgeable in like tons of weird stuff that can happen in this rando. So I do think that while we are the favorites in this match, I don't think it's one that we want to take lightly either. Anything can happen, and I could definitely see them stealing away a win, but I will probably be probably will be less nervous in that match than I would be if I was going up against Clean and Hal. I'm being honest.
Also, the tournament is scripted, right? So, I mean, we have to get this story time plus with our adventurous matchup.
It was written in the notes.
You weren't supposed to tell it, Sirius, man.
I'm
Letting it
gonna
out
if we
before.
face off again, I'm gonna trash talk a lot more in the race time. Be like, I'm gonna read you a book.
All right, well, with that said, that is going to bring our Ori randomizer for the week and for the Swiss stage to a conclusion. Look forward, obviously, to the bracket matches coming up in the coming weeks. They are shaping up to be very exciting if this last one was anything to go by. But with that said, I'd like to thank all of our crew who helped us put this show on today, both Zem with here helping me commentate, as well as our Restreamer Infinite and our wonderful truckers, Hal and Lion. Thanks everyone for making this possible. Thanks to our runners for putting on a great show, and thanks to everyone for being part of the tournament and really making this event as good as it can be. I hope all the future races are as exciting as this one, and I look forward to everything that comes in the future. Good luck, everyone.